You're listening to the Greeks Gridiron, live with Ethan Haristodoulou.
Welcome back, everyone, to more of the Greeks Gridiron. I am Ethan Haristodoulou. It's March 15th, 2022, and we're recapping day number 2 of the NFL's tampering period for free agency. It officially kicks off tomorrow. Last couple of days, though, a lot of deals have been put together and put into agreement and are going to become official tomorrow, but if you didn't realize, none of this is actually official. Up until that clock strikes noon tomorrow, I believe is what the time is, none of this becomes official. It could be 4 p.m. It's either noon or 4 p.m. I don't know, one of those two. But we're going to talk my favorite signings for the day. I got 5 lined up for you guys, so stick around. Some of them will not be some very obvious ones, so if you're expecting me to talk about the 5 largest contracts I got signed today, that's not what this is about. I am literally going through my absolute favorite signings of the day and giving some good details as to why I think they're good ones. So sit back, relax, comment down below. Are you excited about what your team's been doing? Are you not excited about what your team's been doing? If you're like me, I'm a Colts fan. I've been watching them do absolutely nothing so far, and it's been very frustrated, and I want to put my head through a wall, but, you know, it is what it is being an NFL fan. So let's talk. We got 5 players here that I am particularly excited about their signings and where they went to. And the first one that I'm going to start off with is a big money deal, but more so because this is an actual free agent signing that I picked that I thought would be an excellent fit for the Denver Broncos. And they went and got their guy in defensive end or outside linebacker, I guess you could say, whatever it is he technically plays, depending on, I guess, the scheme. But he was a D-end when he was over in Dallas. Randy Gregory, 5-year deal, $70 million. And again, I know I said I'm not talking massive contracts, but this is one that I picked for the Broncos specifically when I did my free agents fit series. I liked the idea of bringing Randy Gregory in because this, in theory, ends up being an excellent pairing with Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb, obviously an emerging star, injuries aside over there in Denver. He was very effective with 16 sacks his rookie season and has not been able to quite recapture that form, but has been a solid player nonetheless when he's not sitting on the sideline with injury. For Randy Gregory, he's averaged about 5 sacks the last 3 years of his career. So he brings talent, he brings consistency. He's been a solid guy rushing the passer, and he's gotten slowly better and better at dealing with the run as well. So overall, he's progressed fairly nicely. What this is going to mean now for Denver's defense, they're probably not going to be going after Von Miller anymore because of this massive contract that he got. But it does allow Nick Chubb to get a little less focus on him because teams will have to respect what Randy Gregory can do. He can come up and make a play here and there if the attention is not all on him, and he's a playmaker. He's able to get into the backfield. He, I believe, had 5 forced fumbles last season as well. So, I mean, the guy's able to not only get to the quarterback, force mistakes as well, and turnovers, and make some big plays for the defense. This was a fantastic signing. It was a funny signing at that, too, because the Dallas Cowboys went and announced that they re-signed him, and then he jumped ship, flipped the other way, went to Denver because he didn't like the language of what the Cowboys were offering him in his deal. It is what it is. That is the way of the NFL. I'm excited to see Randy Gregory pair up with Nick Chubb. I think this is a really good signing, and I think Randy Gregory, while I'm a little shocked at the amount of money he got, I think that this overall is a really good deal. The second person that I have listed here, this one, probably a little under the radar if you're not a Steelers fan, but for what I have pinpointed for them to need to address in this free agent period, it wasn't the guy I picked, but it was a solid pick nonetheless for them. They went and got James Daniels, the former Bears offensive guard. He's signing a 3-year, $26.5 million deal, and this has begun what is a essentially rebuild of a depleted offensive line over in Pittsburgh. The last couple of years has been wild if you're a Steelers fan. Obviously, with the Ben Roethlisberger retirement this last year, a big changing of the guard. But the offensive line went from being a really nasty group to who is even starting on this line anymore. You lost Maurkice Pouncey, Then you lost David DeCastro and Villanueva as well. I mean, you lost 3 of your starters in the course of 2 years, and I don't think anyone really expected, maybe Maurkice Pouncey more than others, but I don't think a ton of people really expected him to retire, but maybe internally they were more aware of that possibility than anything else. And then the David DeCastro one, it ultimately boiled up to, okay, well, injuries are wearing him down. He doesn't want to do this anymore, which, I mean, leading up to it, it was kind of something that was a known possibility, but like maybe a few months before, when he actually, before he even announced the retirement, I don't think anyone was really expecting him to not be around for another 4, 5, 6 years or something like that. So tough injuries and just player personnel changing on the O-line has forced them into a rebuild, and James Daniels is an excellent starting point for that restructure. This is a very deep offensive line class coming into the draft. So while you only need to go after a guy or two here, you can then focus on bringing in, a new tackle or something like that. I don't know if they've found their center of the future going forward yet or not. If they're eyeballing somebody in the draft or what have you, I don't know. But starting with James Daniel, who can play both guard positions. He can also play the center position as well. Brings versatility, skill, and youth. He's only 24 years old on a 3-year deal, which means, you'll be able to re-up on him in another few years if things go well with him. The Steelers have a lot of work on the O-line, but this is an excellent starting point for the team, and I really like this signing. And again, if you're not a Steelers fan, you probably saw this and you're like, oh, the Steelers got a lineman. Well, this goes a long way, or at least it starts the long way onto rebuilding an O-line that has Najee Harris to worry about, and, it's not going to be Deshaun Watson like some people might have thought, but they have Mitchell Trubisky there. Maybe they draft somebody as well. We don't really know, but it might be Trubisky. It might be Rudolph. You also have Dwayne Haskins there as like a wild card. It goes a long way into rebuilding an O-line that has to protect whoever their new quarterback is going to be and also open up some running lanes on the inside for the young man Najee Harris, who looked awesome in his rookie season. The number 3 guy that I have on this list here is going to be the defensive tackle Sebastian Joseph Day, being signed by the Chargers on a 3-year, $24 million deal. I talked about this a lot going into the free agency series of the Chargers. We discussed the lack of a run defense that this team had. They were sitting at the bottom of the league for a long stretch of time throughout the year, and I think they ultimately finished at 30th, if my numbers are saved correctly here. But the fact that they went after someone like Sebastian Joseph Day, who, he only played 7 games this past season, but the year prior was part of the reason that the Rams had one of the best defenses in the league and were able to completely swallow run games week in and week out, goes to show you that they are making a commitment to instilling some sort of fear into the run defense that this Chargers team lacked so much. Joseph Day fits the mold. He looked really good back in the 7 games that he had in 2021. He actually looked pretty solid. He had 22 stops, which are essentially constituting of a failure by offenses, according to PFF. He had only 22 in the 7 games he played, and he did a really good job in 2020 with only 33. And I mean, he was already on pace to break that number in just 7 games in this following season. So had he not got hurt, I'm sure those numbers would have only went up. He became a more solid starting piece in that defensive front for the Rams, and I think he's going to be an excellent fit over there in the Chargers uniform now as opposed to the Rams uniform. Great for him. He doesn't have to relocate. He stays in the same city. He's just jersey swapping. Next one up on the list, and you'll see there's kind of a theme here. We're talking a lot of linemen here because everything is won and lost in the trenches when you think about football. This signing here is not necessarily a free agent. I'm sorry, it's not a signing. I shouldn't have called it that. It is a trade rather than a signing. Even though it's not a free agent thing, I still wanted to include it here because it happened during the beginnings of free agency. Shaq Mason, the Buccaneers, they went after a guy to help replace a couple of losses that they've dealt with because of free agency so far, making a trade with the New England Patriots, sending over a 5th-round pick for a guy who has been one of the more consistent and better offensive guards in the NFL on the right side. He may not be as dominant as he was a couple of years ago like 2-3 years ago, for whatever the reasons may be, but he has been consistently starter level and a really good starter level at that, even the last few years alone. I don't really understand how New England felt okay getting just a 5th-round pick for Shaq Mason because, again, he's been so good. He's only allowed 14 sacks in his entire 7 years in the league, so that's 2 sacks a season, coupled with he only allowed 1 sack in 15 total pressures last season on nearly, I believe he was at 1,000 snaps or just over 1,000 snaps. Those are really good numbers, and you couple that with the fact that when you look at how people analyze the offensive guards and they've analyzed Shaq Mason, he's considered a better run blocker than he is a pass blocker, and he's a very impressive pass blocker. So the Buccaneers, they lost Ali Marpet to retirement. They lost Alex Kappa to free agency to the Bengals. They gave him a massive contract that the Buccaneers just were not going to be able to match. And ultimately, they get a guy who, in my opinion, whether you think he's as good as maybe someone like Ali Marpet or Alex Kappa is irrelevant. He's still starter level. Tom Brady knows him. There's familiarity there. And with Brady being back, you obviously want to make sure you have some people to protect the line because when it comes down to beating Brady, if you can get to him, that's how you stop the offense. That's really the only way you can stop the offense. So if you can eliminate the pass rush and slow down the pressure, your offense will be successful if it's being led by Tom Brady. So excellent trade here, and in my opinion, an absolute steal for only a 5th-round pick. Like, I don't know how the Patriots allowed that to go, but, you know, they're in charge of running the NFL teams, not me. I don't know how New England thought that was okay, but it is what it is. There's nothing they can do now. Shout out to Tampa Bay. This was a steal of a signing, in my opinion. He still has 2 years left on his contract as well, so it's not like you just gave away a 5th-rounder. You have a couple of years of a guy who can start for you, and I think will be the starter barring any crazy injuries for those next couple of seasons, and he might even stick around longer than that if things go well. My last and number 5 guy that I have selected here, this one is another low-key one that if you're not a fan of the team, you're probably not going to think much of it, but my Detroit Lions fans, I am thinking of you guys. Believe me, DJ Chark coming to Detroit is going to be massive if all goes well. This is a signing that is literally just filled with potential. It's a 1-year, $10 million deal, prove it or lose it type of thing, where if DJ Chark can get back to the level that he was at, coupled with Amon-Ra St. Brown, who started to emerge late in the year and really came on strong and honestly, in my opinion, finished the season more along the lines of like the top 5 rookie class there. Maybe he didn't do it the entire span of the season, but those last, I want to say like 6-7 weeks, he was really starting to come on and really look good. If he continues to progress in the direction he was going, and DJ Chark, who one brings 4.3 speed, and he's a pretty tall dude at that. I think he's like 6'3 or 6'4, so 4.3, 6'3, 6'4 size, coming off of a tough injury, but the 2 years prior, in 2020, 53 catches, 706 yards, and 5 touchdowns, and then the year before that, he had 73 receptions, 1,008 yards, and 8 touchdowns. He was a force to be reckoned with over there in Jacksonville, and he looked really good, but ultimately, they didn't really have a quarterback. Nothing was really going too well offensively for them in Jacksonville. You get Trevor Lawrence. DJ Chark misses the whole year. You don't get to see them go at it together, and it's really unfortunate because I think DJ Chark would have made Trevor Lawrence's rookie season look a lot differently with his size and speed and ability to go get the football. He missed a lot of last year. It's a prove-it deal, and I don't really know what the QB situation is going to end up looking like in Detroit come into this next season, whether they draft somebody or whatever their situation ends up being. I know, obviously, Jared Goff is probably going to get the start even if they draft someone, unless the rookie really impresses if they go after one in the draft this year. But regardless of whether it's Goff or some other guy, or maybe even like next season, if Goff just has a good year, but they still opt to move on from him anyways. But DJ Chark is able to get back within like 500, 600, 700 yards. I would say 600, 700, 800 yards. I wouldn't say 5. I want to see him get somewhere over that 500 mark, at least maybe 6 or more. He gets, 4, 5, 6 touchdowns, things like that. Just kind of gets back into the groove of things. Whoever ultimately ends up coming in to replace him afterwards, paired with Amon-Ra St. Brown, who again was trending upwards towards the end of the season. If he keeps trending that way, and you look at what TJ Hawkinson can do, and then couple that with how good that offensive line is over there, and they have DeAndre Swift, who wasn't as effective this past season. Is he still there? That's a good question. Let me know, Lions fans. Even if they don't have DJ Swift, if they bring in another running back, but behind that offensive line that is so good, this is an offense that if they can figure out their quarterback situation, or if Goff can, catch lightning in a bottle and maybe restart his career and point it in a better direction with a better group around him, this is an offense that can look pretty good. I like DJ Chark. I was impressed with Amon-Ra St. Brown. Hawkinson is who Hawkinson is. He's a really good pass-catching tight end, and they have the Lions have one of the better offensive lines in the league. I think that's something that people forget, but they have a really good setup of players there anchoring the offensive line for at least the next 2 or 3 years because they're all locked into deals. The Lions skill position group, interestingly enough, is pretty impressive. Hopefully they can just get a quarterback to make it all work, or Jared Goff can step up and improve upon last year and maybe do even better with another year in the system. We'll see. But those are my 5 favorite signings from this past season. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Again, are you happy with what your team's doing? Are you not happy with what your team's doing? Are you like me, watching the Colts do nothing but re-sign their own players, but yet have $70 million in cap space and have not decided to sign Chandler Jones or somebody else? I don't know what they're doing, but let me know if you're stressed out like I am. I appreciate you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time.